January 6th was an atrocity. It was one of the worst moments in American history. And when you think about the worst moments in American history, like World War II, things that happened, like the Holocaust, chattel slavery, we need to never forget.
Sunny Hostin's New Year's resolution must have been to outdo herself in sheer absurdity. Kicking off the first episode of the year, she made an outrageous claim, comparing January 6th to some of the darkest chapters in history, including the Holocaust and slavery. Just take a moment to let that sink in. Making such a statement isn't just ignorant, it's beyond comprehension. It's hard to believe anyone could reach this level of unseriousness, no matter how hard they tried. But does she even realize how deeply disrespectful this is to the millions who actually endured the horrors of slavery and the Holocaust? It's not just misguided, it's outright offensive, and if that wasn't shocking enough, the day had even more chaos in store. Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau reportedly resigned in disgrace, and Kamala Harris had to step in to announce Donald Trump as the winner of the election. Can you believe it? All of this happened before 2 p.m. and the day was already spiraling into madness. Now, before we dive into all of that, let's start with Sunny Hostin's completely unhinged take on The View as she went on about the so-called atrocities of January 6th.
What do we do? I think we need to find moral clarity, in this country. And I just remember after January 6th, you had someone like Mitch McConnell placing the blame on January 6th where it belonged, squarely on Donald Trump's shoulders. And then you started seeing people backtrack that and losing their moral center. You had Condoleezza Rice, I believe, on this very show saying, we need to move on from January 6th. I say no. You don't move on, because January 6th was an atrocity. It was one of the worst moments in American history. And when you think about the worst moments in American history, like World War II, things that happened, like the Holocaust, chattel slavery, we need to never forget, because past becomes prologue if you forget any race.
Absolutely unbelievable. Look, no one is denying that January 6th got out of control. It did, but comparing it to the Holocaust, where 10 million people lost their lives in unimaginable ways, or to centuries of slavery that inflicted suffering on millions, that's not just an exaggeration, it's a complete departure from reality. Sunny Hostin has already cemented her place in the Delusional Hall of Fame, but this might just be her worst take yet. And then came Alyssa's response. She fired back, essentially telling Sunny, not everyone is a multi-millionaire like you, sitting around worrying about democracy. People are dealing with real-life problems and Democrats aren't addressing them.
I have to say, I think there were warning signs, though, that we would be where we are today. And most Americans were not comfortable with January 6th. They thought it was bad. They thought it was awful. But for 4 years, they said, guys, we are hurting. The cost of living is too high. We are concerned about the border. I predicted here 6 months ago we were careening to Donald Trump's inauguration. People needed to listen that, yes, democracy matters, but if you can't pay your bills, it's hard to care about something as nebulous as democracy. And I think that the warning signs were there. And I say this with due respect to Joe Biden. I didn't disagree with a word he said in that op-ed, but people were saying, we have concern about your age. He waited till August and then gave Kamala Harris this runway to run for president. All the warning signs were there. This was Democrats. They had the chance to stop Donald Trump from being inaugurated. And here we are.
It's pure gold. I've said this before, and it's even more relevant now. If you truly believe January 6th was on the same level as slavery and the Holocaust, yet the American people still chose to ignore it and vote for that guy, what does that say about your party? Just how bad were your policies? How disastrous must they have been for everyday Americans that they saw what you call the worst atrocity ever and still chose Trump over you? Think about it. Every time they overhype January 6th, they don't realize they're only hurting themselves. If Trump was really the fascist, Nazi-like dictator and existential threat to democracy they claim he is, and Americans still thought your party was worse, that's your problem. And just when you think the takes couldn't get any more unhinged, Ana Navarro jumps in, making sure Sunny isn't the only one saying outlandish things today. Listen to her claim that we somehow owe gratitude to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. For what exactly? I have no idea, but don't worry, she'll explain.
I'm also very grateful to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for putting democracy first, Constitution first. A few days ago, Kamala Harris was swearing in as vice president. She she swears in the newly elected senators. It included senators like Ted Cruz. It included senators like Dave McCormick from Pennsylvania who attacked her. But you see, it's not about her. It's about the Constitution.
And every vice president does that.
Yeah. And she's going to perform her duty today. And she's not just the vice president. She's also the woman who lost to Donald Trump. But she is a mature adult, not a toddler having a tantrum. She is a leader who understands that it is country first.
Hold on, people seem to forget that the transfer of power did happen peacefully. There was no military coup, no armed resistance. Donald Trump was upset about how the election was handled, and let's be honest, he had every right to be. The pandemic led to 1,000 irregularities that wouldn't have happened under normal circumstances. Did he question the results? Absolutely, but he still transferred power, followed the legal process, and took his cases to court. At least he tried. And here's the kicker. They love to call conservatives election deniers or election skeptics, but what do Democrats do every time Trump wins? In 2016 and now in 2024, they're the ones who refuse to accept the results. The hypocrisy is unreal, completely shameless. They deny it. They're skeptical of it. It's like they're just projecting their own insecurities onto everyone else. But let's move on to something that's guaranteed to make you laugh. Today, Kamala Harris had to certify the election, officially, announcing herself as the loser and Trump as the winner. And guess what? The Republican side of Congress erupted in applause when she declared Trump victorious.
The votes for President of the United States are as follows. Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 312 votes. Kamala D. Harris Today was obviously a very important day, and it was about what should be the norm and what the American people should be able to take for granted, which is that one of the most important pillars of our democracy is that there will be a peaceful transfer of power. And today I did what I have done my entire career, which is take seriously the oath that I have taken many times to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, which included today performing my constitutional duties to ensure that the people of America, the voters of America, will have their votes counted, that those votes matter, and that they will determine then the outcome of an election.
You can only imagine how humiliating that must have been for her. I wouldn't be surprised if she popped a Xanax and washed it down with a bottle of wine before stepping out there. Brutal. But here's where it gets even crazier. There's chatter on X, formerly Twitter, that some Democrats actually believe Kamala Harris shouldn't have certified the vote. Are you kidding me? That's the same thing Sonny Hostin just compared to slavery and the Holocaust. And now they want this woman to run again in 2028? I say let her go for it. Give her as many chances as she wants, because every time she steps up, opens her mouth, and talks to the American people, they lose more voters. It's like a gift that keeps on giving. While American liberals are still reeling from their January 6th PTSD, Canadian liberals are having their own historically awful day. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau just announced his resignation, and honestly, it's about time. Trudeau has completely wrecked Canada. He's made everything unaffordable, allowed waves of illegal migrants into the country, and now Canadians are pushing back hard. There's a massive shift to the right happening across Western nations because people are sick of these woke leftist policies. Enough is enough. Even his own party turned on him. His second in command resigned just to avoid going down with his political dumpster fire. Now let's take a listen to his cringeworthy press conference where he announced his resignation.
The internal battles right now, but I'm wondering if you feel that another leader will have more success than you will at beating Pierre Poilievre in the next campaign.
Pierre Poilievre's vision for this country is not the right one for Canadians. Stopping the fight against climate change doesn't make sense. Backing off on the values and strength and diversity that Canada has always worked to pull itself together on is not the right path for the country. Attacking journalists, the CBC institutions, That's not what Canadians need in this moment. We need an ambitious, optimistic view of the future, and Pierre Poilievre is not offering that. And I look forward to the fight as progressives across this country stand up for the kind of vision for a better country that Canadians have always carried, despite the tremendous pressures around the world to think smaller, to veer towards the hard right, and to be less ambitious for what we can be and do as a country when the world really needs Canada.
It's like every leftist politician is reading from the same tired script. Trudeau is so unpopular that he had to resign midterm, yet he still has the nerve to act like everything he stood for is exactly what Canada should want. He even had the audacity to say that the leader of the Conservative Party isn't the best option for Canada. Seriously? Here's the thing, Canadians don't care about fighting climate change if it means slapping a carbon tax on everything and doubling prices. They care about their own quality of life, not about giving themselves a moral pat on the back for opening the borders to anyone and everyone. And why should they? It's their lives, their wallets, and their futures on the line. What the left doesn't seem to understand is that citizens want their politicians to care about them first. But liberal politicians, they're too busy building a platform around taking care of everyone except their own people. And then they act shocked when the public rejects that nonsense. I love how Trudeau tries to demonize anyone shifting toward the right, but let's be real, to these liberals, far right just means anything that doesn't fit their woke ideology. Canadians are screaming, focus on us, improve our lives, make things affordable. But no, they'd rather virtue signal than actually solve problems. Here's a thought, maybe when things are prosperous and stable, then we can talk about helping and welcoming others. But liberal politics operate on this twisted belief that Western civilization is inherently evil. They think everything needs to be torn down, we should apologize for our success, and we should welcome cultures that completely clash with our values, all while letting our own society crumble from the inside. And how do citizens respond? Hard no, thank you. They're done with this self-sabotaging nonsense. But hey, let me know what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Speaking of insanity, Sunny Hostin has officially lost her marbles. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and turn on those notification bells so you never miss a video. Catch you in the next one.